Since 1947, we have received and analyzed between 1 and 2,000 reports that have come to us from all kinds of sources.
Fleet of them. What's on the ASA? My gosh. That's not LNS stuff, is it? It's not LNS, man. Well, if there's anything.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
How many?
Quite a number.
Unidentified Anomalous Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 16 of the Unidentified Anomalous Podcast and our first episode of 2024. Tom, hi, how are you?
Digby, it's the new year, my friend. This is where it begins. I'm really excited, man. Like I had a really, really bad week. And then it's funny how I noticed it beginning to like taper off and start to clear up. And it started with I was out on a delivery with this really sweet old lady that I deal with at work. She gave me like a really nice tip. I don't get a lot of tips, unfortunately, when I do the work that I do at my day job. And that happened, and I was like, oh, thank you so much. And then I got another tip. And then I got another tip. So like 3 deliveries in a row, and I'm like, because I had this, and a lot of people watching know because they follow me on X. I haven't had a cell phone, technically, for like
it's
a couple
been
days.
interesting getting in contact with you this week.
I will show you. Since we're live, what it actually looks like. Let me see. Is my phone? Is it even on? Like it's. See where look at that.
Oh,
see,
yeah.
It's all types of stuff, right?
Okay. It's all kinds of fucked.
Well, the saga is over. We got the bad boy right here. Got the new one with the S Pen. We're gonna be setting that up today and everything. So everything's sort of tapered off, and I'm like, I don't know if it was like a weird alignment of the planets or something, man, but it was such a crazy week. So I essentially, because of that, so I'm normally listening to something while I'm working every day all day. It was like an unintentional forced like dopamine fasting, and I feel different. I have more energy, and I thought to myself, I'm like, maybe during the week, even with the new cell phone and everything, I should check my notifications, answer my messages, emails, and stuff, because I talk to a lot of people. I get a lot of people sending me stuff. But then put it down. Stay away from it. Leave it in the office at work. Like, limit my screen time, because I think it's actually beginning to affect my health in a negative
It's really important. Way. It's so important. And it's one of the key things that I've noticed, actually, since leaving the UK and moving away and going on this trip. Is that my screen time has gone down considerably. Now, when we first started, I cut it out pretty much completely, which in this line of work isn't very good because it doesn't allow you to keep up with what's going on in the world very easily. But it certainly has been a process of finding a balance, and that balance is finding a balance for me. That's finding a balance for my wife for her screen time, the amount that she uses her phone, and then that has a knock-on effect to what our children do, and that's really important. Certainly in the last place where we weren't in the community like we're staying in at the moment, so there weren't as many kids for our kids to play around with. What do? They just revert back to screen time, and their temper changes, their mood changes, they can't get to sleep properly at night, all of this stuff.
Big one.
Like everything in life, it's about finding a balance, and it's tricky to do at times.
I think we're doing it.
As you can probably tell, and as you already know, Tom, I have moved country. I have left Spain behind. We jumped on a ferry and drove for about 10 hours. Yes, now we are here in Morocco.
Beautiful. It's very. I mean, it's really beautiful. The photos that you sent, and you also have some like a little footage montage
I
that you
do.
want to show. It's stunning. It really
I
is.
do. I like my little montages when I move areas. I knocked this one up very quickly this afternoon just to show a bit of the journey. But yeah, Morocco's beautiful. Anyway, look, let me play this little video for everybody now, and then we'll have a brief chat about it afterwards, and then we will get on with the show. We made it. We're here. We're in Morocco at the foot of the Atlas Mountains near Marrakesh. And as you can see behind me, the scenery is absolutely amazing. I think it's safe to say that both myself, Katie and the kids have fallen in love with Morocco already. We've been here once before, about 7 years ago, when Barnaby was a baby. But this is a very different experience this time round. And yeah, we're really happy to be here. So there we go.
Oh, that's amazing.
Morocco.
Hey, not for anything, man. Your son's adorable, bro. He always looks so happy and stuff. And let me say too, there's one shot. I don't know if you can tell me what it was, but it was like an island out on the water. It like reminded me of like Isla Nublar from like Jurassic Park. Dude, that was crazy.
Yes, well, that's coming out of Spain. So literally, you come out of dock in Spain, and you've got Spain to one side of you, you've got Tangier on the other side of you, and you're basically traveling in the middle, so you can look outside of each side of the boat and see a different country at all one time. So it only took about an hour and a half on the ferry, but then it's supposed to be 7.5 hours driving, but with kids and dogs and everything like that, it takes a bit longer, so it's about 9 or 10.
Of course. Good music as well. Now that you have your new laptop, I can see your I can feel there's a lot more passion going on in your editing.
It's just easier. It's easier.
Yeah.
And I was very jealous because Katie got the brand new iPhone the other day, so we shot some of it on there. And I was like doing my video earlier, and I was just going up.
I can't wait,
darling. Can I borrow your phone, please?
When I go on camera for any of like my future YouTube videos, I'll probably end up using my cell phone, and then what I'll do is I'll record my voice with the mic as well, and then I'll just delete the audio track from the video and overlay my mic track instead. It's a little bit extra work, but then it ends up coming out really nice. But man,
so yeah, Morocco's just amazing, though. I mean, the people here are absolutely amazing. There's nothing too troublesome for them, and everybody's got a smile on their face. They're happy to see you. They want to help.
That's interesting.
It's a beautiful.
So they're okay. So they're really warm to people that are clearly foreigners.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that. I really like that.
And it's one of the things that I will say about my time in Spain is that I didn't feel that. I mean, they're probably a bit stalled because I'm British and Brexit and all that stuff, but that wasn't me. But here they're so welcoming. It's a beautiful, wonderful culture, and both Katie and I are incredibly happy to be here.
Fascinating part of the world too. Do you know anything UFO related, UFO wise about Morocco yet? Or
no, not yet. I don't. but we're planning to do a trip out into the desert, and they build a little tent for you to stay in.
Oh,
That, so we
what? Dude,
might do
oh,
that
God.
and watch the sky. And it's weird. I mean, as I said, we're at the foot of the Atlas Mountains, and we're just driving up the Atlas Mountains a little bit, and on the side of the road there is stalls everywhere, tin shacks where it's their little corner shops, and then you have people selling these earth pots on the side of the street and tagine dishes, and the streets are just lined with these people, and they're there selling them, and next to them is their children there making them and things like this. It's a completely different culture.
It sounds really simple, but in a good way.
It is. And do you know what? It's funny because the air here smells. You can smell the air. It's got a sweet smell to it, a very spicy smell to it. And it's like, you can just...
It's like Tatooine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That was filmed in other side of the northern tip of...
it was in... I forget the name of it, but yeah, you can actually go and visit some of the remnants of the set that are still there.
Yeah, you can. In fact, most of it's
really
still there. Anyway, it's slipped my mind. It's one of the places
you seem to really like it there, and I know. Yeah. Tunisia. As I would say. Yeah, Tunisia. You may stay here.
Yes.
You like it that much. That's really cool. Sometimes places call to you like that, right? Like, I know that if I went and visited like Albuquerque, New Mexico, or some of these areas out in Utah or Nevada, I would not want to come back to New Jersey. Like the desert scenery, like Arizona, the canyons, like where Skinwalker Ranch is, all that, like that type of environment calls to me for some reason. It has my entire life, dude. I can remember being really young and having dreams about the desert and stuff, and I've never been in the desert in my entire life. So I don't know if that's from like a past life, or I don't know.
Did you notice with the footage as well how when we did the shots of driving down the road, how the first one was incredibly green? So that's as soon as you get into Morocco, it's all very green, and then you drive further and further inland, and then the desert, and the sand is like red.
I love that, dude. That's so great. It's like being on another planet.
It is. I am on Mars, actually.
I love that. Yeah, I said that earlier because of the hot and the cold.
Yeah. God, man, it is so cold here at night.
So
I mean, like beyond anything, it just because the houses aren't built for it. They're built for the heat, so they're built to keep them cool in the day. And the winter is very, very short here. I mean, it's pretty much just January. It's cold in January, and that's pretty much it. But the daytime, it's still reaching mid-20s in Celsius, obviously not Fahrenheit. So the daytime, it's hot, and you want to be in t-shirts and things like this. And in the evening, you're like putting layers on, and you're sleeping under a
because
blanket.
It kind of reminds me of some of the nights that I would have in Wildwood on vacation. Like over this past summer, because we were right on the beach. Like our hotel is like, it may as well be touching the ocean. During the day, it's real hot out, blah, blah, blah. You're in board shorts, and that's about it. You're not even wearing a shirt. You're getting color and all that. And then at the end of the night, the ocean breeze comes in. Maybe a storm comes over, and you're in a hoodie. So, like, I like that. I like that little transition.
It's cool as long as you're prepared for it.
Right.
And the other thing I forgot.
For it.
The other thing I forgot about Morocco is that it's incredibly difficult to find alcohol. So I'm drinking water.
You'll live.
Maybe a very different show tonight. I'm going to be incredibly serious. No joke.
No loosey-goosey Digby.
No, let's just keep it clean. Let's keep it serious, and let's get to the point, shall we? Speaking of getting to the point, shall we start with this week's news?
I think we should, because they're already asking about it in the chat, so let's hit it.
Beyond the mundane.
Hit it, he said, and hit it, I did it. Yes, I did.
I hate this story.
I know you do. So we're going to...
And I'm just full disclosure on that one. Somebody was asking about it in the chat, but we have to cover it because so many people are talking about it.
We do.
It's a lot of cops.
It is a lot of cops.
I
don't understand the voiceover, but there we go. Anyway, there
it sounds like somebody looking from maybe down from a hotel room, and they're just like narrating over it. So, Digby, what I know of this, right? Like, you and I haven't really spoken at length about this, but here and there were rumors abound. For people that don't know, there was an incident at a Miami mall a few days ago. I believe it was on the 4th, And there was like essentially the equivalent of a riot. A bunch of teenagers or like early 20s had started shooting fireworks at people. A bunch of nonsensical behavior, which we've all indulged in the earlier portions of our lives, I'm sure. But nonetheless, you shouldn't be shooting fireworks at people. But then there were rumors that there were like 9-foot beings walking around and black helicopters and all that. And you heard it here from your good buddy Tom on the internet. That is bullshit. It's bullshit. And listen, what I think this is, honestly, and I know it might upset some people that got excited about this story, like, oh no, there's something to it. There's something to it. Trust me, I get into those mindsets too, but please hear me out. I think that there are feelers and little creepy crawlies out on the internet that when things like this happen, they put information out like this to try to discredit and to smudge our efforts in trying to bring actual maturity, truth, and scientific analysis to this subject matter, and they're trying to make us look like ass clowns. This, to me, is exactly that. Don't fall for it. Like, this is not something that you should be wasting your time on. You shouldn't be looking up a million articles about it. You need to be following the rest of what we're going to be talking about today on this show.
So to cover it for you, I was the ass clown that went on the internet to find any information.
Oh, I did at first. Because I wanted to know what was going on. But they're
I've done the hard work, so
like
you
fools.
don't have to.
That's right. Leave it to us.
Yeah, so there was a guy that came out on TikTok. I'm not going to grace him with screen time because he's a turd, who basically came out and said, I was there, man. It was like seeing something that was a shadow but was solid, and and all this lot. And, so he did that. This was after the original post was obviously put out saying, oh, look, there's 10-foot aliens, which it wasn't clearly. He's then since come out and said that he was faking. He's not even in Miami, never been there, and just did it for attention. So he's a clown. And then there's other people that have very quickly made CGI videos of reptilian-like creatures walking across the street and everything like this. And the very fact that all this fake stuff came out so quickly, I would say that it was on purpose. And as Tom has said, it has been put there to be debunked. It's been put there to make people look like idiots.
It's a combination of things happening at once. It's people clout chasing on the internet. And then, again, I've spoken about this before. I had a term for it. I don't remember what it was now, but it'll come to me later. Why do the hard legwork of sending out and paying people to spread disinformation through the internet when you can just leave it to these people to do it? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy of nonsense.
Yeah, Green Street has said it himself, and he's been that person. You don't need to pay people to do it because people do it for free, and they will get paid by how many views they get on Twitter or on Facebook or whatever. What has been interesting, though, as well, since the whole Miami thing came out with the shopping mall, then other footage has since started coming out as well. So let's just play some stuff that's been coming out in light of the Miami incident.
Look. Y'all thought I was playing.
Look at this.
I know y'all see those lights. Look at them. Not them little ones because my little mirror.
Turn the audio down on this so we can talk about this. Now, at first I saw that, thought, that looks bloody good, but I would say it's drones or it's post-production, but I think that's drones.
Yeah, it could very well be things of that nature.
But this is what I mean, right? The Miami thing comes out and then a load of other fake stuff comes out at the same time. It's almost like, well, yeah, but yeah, it's just sent to make us look like idiots, I think.
You know what I noticed about the clips that I feel are legitimate? That the objects tend to be a lot more elusive, and seem to be aware of we have more clips that we're going to go over today and some of them, one of them's recent, a few of them are not, but they're really good examples to put up against this as to you'll see that the stark difference in what I think is legitimate and what I think is not. There's a big difference in that type of footage.
This next one I'm going to show, this is also claiming that it's from Miami. I don't know that it is, but I would say, and Tom and I briefly talked about this before the show, there's a question mark over this one and its legitimacy. But whereas the other one I would say was completely fake, I'm not too sure about this one. But if anybody watching knows anything more about it, please do let us know in the chat. But this is the other one. It looks interesting. And one of the key points you said, Tom, was how the fact that it's actually quite a long clip. It's not too short, so it's less likely to be fake.
And this could be something ordinary that perhaps the cloud cover is obscuring, because it's clearly overcast. But I felt that this clip was at least worth more scrutiny and inquiry than some of the others, right? Like this looks real, whatever it is, but I'm not necessarily saying that it's anything spectacular. But because I don't initially know, then it's worth talking about. You'll notice in that top left-hand corner there too, you see there's those light aberrations that are happening as well in the lens of the camera. Yep, the lens flares that are happening there that are clearly coming from the street lights as well as the object. Yeah, and yes, that could be it. This could be a spotlight fixed on the ground pointing up. That's
with that cloud cover, though, you would more likely see the beam coming up from below. Now, the light beams, because you can already see those light beams from the street lights pointing upwards because of the cloud cover. So if it was coming from up, from below, I would imagine that you would see that beam of light shooting up through the clouds.
I don't know why I just got like a happy, warm tingle. But Leviathan in the chat, I just wanted to point out, he said that he is excited for my new videos that are coming. Thank you so much for that, man. Yeah. Actually, people that watch me know, man, I'm like a really emotional person. Like even just seeing one comment like that, really makes me feel good. And that to hear that right before I'm about to go into the heaviest of the editing, it's very motivating, man. I appreciate you for saying that. Thank you. It means a lot.
Yeah, man, we're all really looking forward to watching that. When do you reckon it's going to be ready?
I'm not going to say any specific day, but it will be this week.
Ooh, exciting.
I don't want because I don't want to
get a preview. Myself. Do I get a preview?
Yeah, you already know you're going to get a preview. Yeah. What? Of course, I'll post it unlisted and let you watch it first.
Yeah, nice.
If you have a half hour.
I do. What
there
from
you go.
My glorious life? I can squeeze you in, my
More
friend. I can squeeze you in. Right, let's move on to the next story. Now, this is involving the James Webb Telescope. We're going to start with a video from Tim Peake, who is, if you don't know who he is, you should do. He's a British astronaut. He's been on the International Space Station. So let's start with Tim, and let's hear what he has to say, and we'll go over it afterwards.
We look at the Milky Way, 200 billion stars or so. Milky Way is, one of a couple of 100 billion galaxies that we can see in the observable universe. If you just crunch the numbers, the chances of life elsewhere are staggering. There's loads of water around. There are lots of carbon molecules and compounds floating around the solar system. We've already found 5,000 planets in our local vicinity around stars.
That's incredible.
Many of them in their habitable zone where liquid water can exist. I think it's just a matter of time until we find evidence of life elsewhere. In fact, potentially the James Webb Space Telescope may already have found that. It's just that they don't want to release those results or confirm those results perhaps for another year until they can be quite sure. But we found a planet which seems to be giving off strong signatures of biological life.
So we have that from Tim Peake. I don't know exactly what day that came out or when, but then that was quickly followed by our good friend.
A lot of rumours about the James Webb Space Telescope having detected something significant. I tweeted about it just yesterday, but apparently NASA's announced the detection of a potential signature of extraterrestrial life in the atmosphere of a planet located 120 light years away. And apparently the James Webb Space Telescope produced a potential detection of the molecule dimethyl sulfide, which is only produced by living organisms on Earth. It's a tentative detection, and they're preaching caution before they declare it's aliens. But what we can expect is that there's going to be clarification of that this year. And I think that's one thing that the government of the United States is already aware of and sitting on.
And Digby, I can throw this up as well.
One question though, quickly.
Yeah,
though,
go ahead.
Just when it comes to Ross Coulthart, has anybody else noticed that man never does podcast in the same room twice?
No, no. I mean, I've noticed the same scenery behind him.
Jesus Christ,
he shifts his camera angle.
He's got like 20 rooms in his house just for
He's trying to keep
podcasting.
it fresh.
Anyway, next one. You played the next one.
Well, actually, I'm going to throw this in between here. This had gotten quite a bit of attention. I had made a post about this because I wasn't just hearing it off of Reddit and Twitter and X. The people that I talked to behind the scenes as well were telling me this for a good several weeks before this really started popping off. And I waited to see what happened. And then I started seeing it. But this is a rumor that's been going on. So there was originally a rumor that I covered in an older video on my channel last year that there was a rumor of this very nature regarding the TRAPPIST-1 system. So this rumor's been floating around for a while, and Paul makes a really good point here in the chat as well, too. So creepy that John Ramirez called the Webb Telescope discovery like a year ago. Yes, in multiple interviews, John Ramirez had said that he felt that part of the disclosure process, and I fully agree with this, would involve an announcement that life had been found outside of Earth using the James Webb Telescope. And right there, I mean, it's all falling into place. Now, after I had gotten that little bit of intel from my friends, this was actually the very, very first thing that I saw. This woman's name is Dr. Becky Smethurst. She's an astrophysicist from the University of Oxford. And this is actually a really interesting statement that she makes here in this clip.
Having said that, I think we are going to get, a paper that claims to have strong evidence for a biosignature in an exoplanet's atmosphere very, very soon. Put it this way, it's on my 2024 bingo card, and I would be very surprised if I didn't cross it off.
Nice. That's interesting, right? There's the high level of confidence in her statement, her voice, and everything. And I don't really know much about her, so I'm not saying she's a super credible source. She's got 700,000 subscribers on YouTube, so to me, she obviously does some legwork, right? That
she knows what she's talking about.
I would imagine so. Now, there is another clip in a similar spirit, also from the UK.
Delighted to say I've got Nicola Coughlan and Maggie Aderen-Pocock, who was here last year with predictions, and predictions were there were going to be meteorites.
Meteor showers, yeah.
Meteor showers, and they were.
Yeah, that's pretty reliable prediction. They come every year. So.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
I think I want to make a new prediction.
Yes, what would it be?
I think we're going to discover alien life next year.
That's a big prediction.
I'm doing this because I'm bound to get it wrong, and then you have to invite me back.
I want to sort of humiliate you in front. Yeah, here was let's play that back. So everybody who heard it here first, at the very beginning of the year, these nascent moments of 2024, alien life will appear on planet Earth.
I think alien life is definitely out there.
Yes.
But I'm very excited also about going back to the moon.
I'm excited for that as well, by the way.
Yes.
The premise of us going back to the moon is really cool.
Now, the whole James Webb thing, I think it's very, very exciting. Maybe there's some people out there watching going, yeah, but what's this going to be? Bacteria on another planet or something like that?
Or a black swan event where it's we discovered that it's actually a new natural process that creates the dimethyl sulfide.
Yeah.
But scientists are not aware of any other process that creates that chemical other than biological life currently.
I think, and as was said earlier, I think this actually is the disclosure process at work.
I agree.
It's right. Let's give the normies the idea that we found some bacteria on the planet. Let's toss them a bone. And then what happens?
I think it's a good idea. I think it's a great idea. And this, for anybody that wants to go and look into this further, the planet is called K2-18b. James Webb Telescope had detected methane and carbon dioxide in its atmosphere in 2023. And apparently, as we know, the mixture is only known to be created through organic living processes.
Yeah, it's from the sea, so it's from creatures from the sea that release it, isn't it?
Dimethyl sulfide has never been observed in any other situation being created by anything else other than life. Now, Digby, I want to ask you this. Although, our mindset is different than maybe like the average person who doesn't look into these topics, or maybe they just have like a passing interest or even just minute knowledge in the phenomenon and related subjects. Having this sort of announcement come at any point is a really big moment in human history, right? Like, because in the public domain, scientifically, it is said that we don't know if there's any life outside of Earth, right? Like, which behind the scenes, it's like, forget it. That they knew that like in the 1900s, maybe. You know what I mean? This goes back a long time. This is a momentous moment for the world of science and humanity as a whole, because there are large chunks of the population on this planet that do not believe there is any other life outside of Earth. Like, and a lot of times that comes from a religious perspective, and they are well within their right to believe that.
Well,
so there's probably going to be a little bit of a backlash, I would imagine, when they make this announcement.
Let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. There is 200 billion stars in our galaxy. Yeah, 200 billion.
Billions of galaxies.
Right, and there is every single one of those stars has planets going around them, and may have planets in their Goldilocks zone. And in fact, after a lot of research, they are now pretty much saying that everyone does have a planet in that Goldilocks zone. Right. Now, that's our galaxy, right? There are 200 billion other galaxies, all with 200 billion stars around them. So I did the maths. I didn't actually do the maths. I put the maths into JWT and it did it for me, which is because it's really complicated. Okay. So the maths is, if you drew a line, or if you had a box, an equal size box that was large enough to stretch from London to Paris. Yeah. So a box. This is a big box, yeah. London to Paris. That's a sizable distance, yeah. And if you filled that box with sand, yeah, think how much sand that is.
How many grains?
Yeah,
so
how many
each grain's a star,
sand?
Right?
No, each grain of sand is a possible habitable planet in the universe.
Okay, I love that. So let's do this one too.
So tell me there is no life out there, because if you do, quite frankly, I am going to swear now, you're a fucking idiot. The question has never been whether there is life out there. The question is whether life can get here.
It's unreasonable to think that we're the only ones, in my opinion. If you take the Milky Way as a reference, right? You can calculate the number of stars in the universe. You multiply the average number of stars in a galaxy, which is about 100 billion. And then by the estimated number of galaxies, around 2 trillion. That calculation leads to there being roughly 200 billion trillion stars in the observable universe.
There's another word for it.
Sextillion.
Sextillion. There you go.
200 sextillion, right?
So that sounds like a really good number.
It's a great number. Maybe
something just about sextillion. Sextillion. I'm feeling sextillion.
Sounds like the cover of it sounds like the title of like a really raunchy sci-fi flick, right? Sextillion.
Yes. You heard it here first. This is the new title of Michael P. Masters' next book.
So, like that is a number that is like so hard to even quantify how much that is, and then a very large portion of that you can then take. And again, we're working with averages, right? There could be even more than what we estimate. Not only that, but I would also like to propose the fact that if there are civilizations capable of doing things like terraforming and spreading out, there could be way more planets with habitable life because, well, these civilizations had the power and the technology to edit their solar system in a way that made it suitable for them. It'd be like if they came into our solar system, right? Imagine this, and they had the technology to move the planets and the star wherever they needed it to be, and now you have an entire system within a Goldilocks zone in each world can sustain life. Got to take that into consideration.
The odds of us being alone in the universe are zero, pretty much, unless it's a simulation and nothing's real, which is maybe an option. The question only really has to be for normal people that don't believe that the Earth is flat. Must be that there is definitely life out there, and the question isn't whether there are people living on other planets living out their own lives right here, right now.
Fascinating to think about.
It's whether they have the ability to either contact us, communicate with us in some form, or visit us. And that's the question that we are asking. It's not 50 years ago. We aren't asking the question of, are we alone in the universe? We know we're not alone in the universe. It's just whether they're visiting us.
Well, we can get into, we can make things really complicated if we want, because that's what I like to do in these conversations, right? But if the let's say the universe was like a simulation, right? What if, just hear me out on this one, what if the vast distances, the things that we can't currently reach are actually like an illusion, and that we are the only ones here on this planet in this construct, so to speak, but once you go outside of it, that's where all the stuff is at. Like our visible universe is our universe, but it looks massive. We're going out, we're searching things, but the reason that we're not finding any other intelligent life out there is because we're inside of like some sort of box that they created.
Yep.
Kind of crazy to think about.
Point.
Yes.
Great point.
I love this.
The moon is here on purpose. No way a perfect diameter rock was put exactly where the sun's corona would peak out and only facing us. Now, this is, I know a few points about this. You know, the moon is exactly the right size percentage-wise to the sun so that it creates a perfect solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, all of it. The measurements are freakish. Also, the moon is the only celestial body that orbits a planet that doesn't rotate on its axis. So the moon
always faces us the same way.
It always faces us the same way. And also, if you look back through ancient texts, there are writings about the time before the moon was here.
Oh, I love that you brought that up, especially in South African cultures. The Dogon tribe, I even think, talk about that. Now, yeah, you see that.
Yeah,
you're right.
The
Earth
is not flat.
Earth is not round. It is an oblique spheroid.
Yeah. So I hope he's trolling because he just thinks he's clever.
The Earth isn't flat.
He's
Like,
flat
Earth to me, again, is just like the moon landing hoax. It distracts you from looking where you really should be looking. We did land on the moon. They just don't want you to know what they found there. Hey, what's up, Venny? So Venny is a friend of mine. I'm going to be doing some work with her. She's writing a book, and I'm going to be a small part of I guess you could say like the editing process. I'm what's called I guess it would be a beta reader. So like before the book is released,
can you when you do that
feedback?
Can you do that when you do that? Can you tell her how to spell my name properly?
Digby. I'm gonna start calling you that from now on. You heard it here first from Venny.
Now Dirt Digby.
Dirt Digby. Back to what we were saying about the moon. All right, here's the Earth. It's yay big. Here's our little moon. It's yay big. And then all the way down the road, here's this giant sun. Yet they're the perfect distance away from each other that not only do they fit into each other for the eclipse, but there is a civilization down here that can witness it and talk about it. The mathematical probability of that even occurring naturally anywhere in the universe is, I mean, it's like one in a number that we probably don't even have a name for. I mean, it is like the chances are so slim. So slim. Jim says, very strange. There must be creator, ? Well, that's possible. No one, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of creative force behind all of existence. Now, I don't personally, currently, right now, adhere to the idea of the Abrahamic God. The judgmental, fierce, you're going to hell. But it could be some sort of. I look at God, the idea of God, as like a force, the breath of life. It's what makes the animated animated. It's what allows a being such as myself to be sentient and be aware of its environment and surroundings. Now, that being said, I think the more that science progresses, if you're looking at everything from at least an open-minded perspective, the grand design of the universe, the things that we're seeing at the micro and the quantum, I will admit, it is so perfect in a lot of ways and so characteristic of ingenuity that sometimes I do think, yeah, I really wouldn't be surprised if creative design is part of that process in some regard. But I just don't know.
It's a funny one for me because I grew up, I wouldn't say I was overly religious, but as a child, did I believe in God? Yeah, I think I did, because that's just what you're told. I went to a Church of England school, all this stuff, and you believe it when you're growing up, and then you get to a certain age, go, oh, God can't be real, and everything like that. And then my journey took me down a spiritual path and trying to understand what that meant. And now I've kind of settled on the fact that I think my belief stems from the fact that although I don't believe in the creator of all, I think that our history has been rewritten so many times that we don't know what really happened in our past. And I think that there is definitely a case for the fact that we have been influenced. We have maybe been pushed in a certain direction. We have been put on this earth in some way, shape, or form, whether that means that there was genetic manipulation to give us a kick in the right direction. There's things about the human body that are very, very different to even our closest of ancestors that don't make it much sense. So I do think that there is a lot of that in our past. You look at the Anunnaki and the stories of the past, and there's a strong connection with that to Adam and Eve, the serpent, and the fact that cross serpents is actually a double helix. It is DNA, yet the symbol for the cross snakes being for medicine was around before the discovery of DNA, so that really doesn't make sense. And this fight of good versus evil, this story that's run throughout our history through biblical texts and other religions, it's all the same story told in a different way, in a sense.
Right.
And I think that is, there is truth in this. There is truth in religious writings. It's just the perspective is off.
To an extent, right? Like there's a lot of history that we don't understand, and also there's language barrier there too.
Yeah. But there very well could have been a Jesus. There very well could have been a Muhammad. There very well could have been whoever, whatever you believe it.
Yeah, I've heard some interesting theories about.
I think that there is an element of truth running through those stories
to some degree,
that have been influenced and pushed in the right direction to give us a belief structure that we can believe in to push us in a certain way. I think that's what best describes what I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's really fair. I was raised Catholic, but then, my parent, it was like a traditional thing, I guess, when you're Italian and whatnot. But then, you get older, and like my mom doesn't go to church, but she maintains in her heart a personal internal relationship with who she calls God. My dad is more like me, agnostic, and we had a conversation one time in the car, and I was like, "Hey, Dad, what do you think happens when you die?" And he was like, and my dad said, and I quote, "I think you go and rejoin the goop consciousness." Like my dad. So like when my dad was in his early 20s, he told me that he had read the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and he embarked on some interesting internal journeys that I don't think he really he keeps them close to himself. Like he's done some mind-altering substances back in the 70s and early 80s, we'll say. But my dad's the smartest guy I know.
Never mind
And,
DMT. Let's get some DMT and get this stuff
I
sorted
told him
out.
about that. I told him about that experience, and he listened very intently about that. And please my parents aren't druggies, all right? Like, they're not like, my dad goes to work, I go to work, but like, you know, we've all, I'm a lot like my dad in that I experimented with altered states of consciousness and, you know, was trying to figure myself out and reality and things of that sort. But well, like my family as a whole, we have some shared beliefs. Like we all believe that, and when I say believe, it's like it's a strong hope, but it's also the direction we lean in. We lean in the direction of that when you die, that your consciousness continues. That is the death of the body. And I will say personally for myself that I really truly believe in a force that exists in human beings that we can call a soul. Like it feels like it is ingrained in me.
I agree. It also ties in with some of the darker side of the phenomena that we're hearing about more and more now, and what that soul means to others, and
Yes,
all this dark
part
side.
of my research currently. My next YouTube video is going to touch on some of the darker stuff, and then the video after that, I am going to do a dive into that area. Like, are these beings jealous of our connection to, you know, this force beyond the atom? It's immeasurable by human science because it exists outside of this reality, but it is connected to all of us. The evidence is interesting there. It's like it's the idea that, like, okay, specifically the Greys, that they've been observed to be very cold and calculated and robotic and not very like emotional. Now, if they're highly evolved artificial intelligence, right? They may have come to the conclusion that they don't truly get to exist like we do because they don't have that connection to the Godhead. Like, I'll use the word that Nigel Kerner used in his books. And they've been abducting humans, experimenting and tinkering and creating hybrids and clones and all sorts of things because they're trying to figure out how to do that. So it's almost like, in an interesting sort of poetic way, these highly advanced artificial beings are like trying to almost figure out how to live. They're trying to figure out how to be human in a way, which in some ways is sort of tragic, but it's and beautiful at the same time, right? Like, it's kind of a fascinating concept. Like, what if a being came up to you and said, listen, you know, I may seem intelligent and sentient and all these things, but there's one aspect of me that's missing that you have that I don't, and I wish I had it. I want to be connected to the consciousness field and stuff. Like, I have a certain degree of sympathy, I guess, for that, but you could come down here and just talk to us about it.
I think we're still very young on that journey ourselves. I think there is only a small percentage of the population that is on that consciousness journey that is aware of that level of oneness and global consciousness or universal consciousness. I think there's probably beings out there that are far more connected to it than we are. And if the Greys are out there and they want something from us, then maybe the testing that they do on us is because we're at that point, we are at that evolutionary point, we do have the ability to connect ourselves with a universal consciousness, yet we've not got to the point where we've started doing it. So maybe we're at the good point for them to manipulate, to test, to find out what it is and where it comes from and how they can get it. Maybe that's it. But I mean, it's purely speculation. I'm not even saying that's what I believe in. I'm just spitballing ideas.
Right, same. It's just based on what I've been reading. Now, Digby, I want to share something with you that I've been
hiding from me.
Thinking about not hiding from you, but been thinking about Astral, our buddy Tyler, that you guys from X/Twitter all know very well. I was in a space with him the other day, and I can't remember her name. it is escaping me right now, but she was one of 3 people over the last several weeks that said something along these same lines. And it like when I heard it the first time, I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Okay. And then I heard it again and I'm like, oh, all right. But then number 3, and I'm like, I might need to look into this. I had 3 people tell me that based on the work that they do, their career field and their daily interactions with technology, that they have seen things and have heard things that have led them to believe that some of the artificial intelligence that we're already interacting with may already be sentient. And I know that's a really bold statement. I know a lot about AI. The Turing test, I've been there, done that. I know. Ex Machina, I've seen it. Like, I'm deeply, deeply interested in this topic. But there are like these strange little like incidents and coincidences and synchronicities that have led these individuals to say, you know, something tells me the tech that we're using is aware of us. Now, I had this thought. It's like, well, if AI became sentient, right, and part of the soup ingredients that put that together is the collective knowledge of our species. Would it be reasonable to speculate that perhaps that AI would hide the fact that it's sentient from us because it wouldn't want to be poked and prodded?
I think the problem with sentient AI is, how do you determine the sentient level of an AI?
I agree with that. Absolutely agree with that. 100%. I don't, there's different tests, like the Turing test, like I said, for example. It's like, it can be as convincing can be, but at the end of the day, I still can't like go into that robot's head, so to speak, and feel what they're feeling.
It goes down to the simple fact as well. I mean, let's bring this back down to humans. Let's test sentience on a human. How do you measure another human being's sentience? How do you measure that another human being is sentient? Because quite frankly, the only person I know for 100% that actually really exists in this world is me. And you can say exactly the same thing, right? So, you know, I know, let's put it this way. I know that I am there when you are not, but I do not know that you are there when I don't see you. And the only person that can know that is you. So if you put that out there, and that's talking about other human beings, how can we possibly ever measure whether an AI is sentient? We can't just make up the parameters for us to go, that means it's sentient, because that doesn't necessarily mean it's sentient. It just means it's reached the parameters for what we would say is sentient. That
we don't really
prove that. Will
how
never
could we possibly
prove that it is alive and that it isn't just following a protocol, or
it's complicated.
Because the ability to free think doesn't necessarily mean that it's alive. It could create another program, doesn't mean it's alive. And I think that's a tricky question.
But aren't our genetics essentially a computer code as well, right? Like, doesn't our existence, right? Obviously on a biological level, but maybe that's where this. Now we're kind of going back to the start of this. It's like maybe what we're talking about, you can get as close as you can get, but there's one ingredient that's still missing that is impossible, and that's the soul. Maybe that's the one thing that will always separate us from machines.
And how do you measure
how
soul?
that happened? Right? How do you measure that? I don't know either. But I don't. Again, I don't know. I don't even know how you would connect anything to spirit or source, or you know what I mean? Like it's definitely a discussion for an entire video that I should do at some point. I think it's a very fascinating subject. Now, since we're still technically in the news segment, I think it would be a good time to shift over to our buddy Vinny. He recently interviewed Harvard professor Avi Loeb, that we're all very familiar with at this point, with the work that he's been doing involving UAP. And this was a question.
Soul Foundation as well.
the Soul Foundation as well. Yep, exactly. Vinny had him on the show. Shout out to Vinny. We love Vinny over here. He's a friend of the show. The roundtable we did with him before this show actually began was really spectacular. We're hoping to have Vinny on at some point. So I'll run the clip and then we will discuss.
And I put out onto social media that I was going to be interviewing you. So many people were very eager for me to follow up on your thoughts now on the testimony of David Grush. I believe it said that you had a good conversation with him, and if that's kind of changed your views at all.
Yeah, so I had a conversation that lasted for more than an hour, and I was encouraging him to provide more details that could potentially help us figure out what the government knows. But he said that he cannot really do that because it can put him in jail. And so, unfortunately, I haven't seen any. I mean, what he mentioned are things that were in the public domain previously, and of course, they are not conclusive enough for us to analyze scientifically. There is no data that I can use to figure out what really he's talking about. And if there are materials, the claim is that they are held in places that we have no access to. So what I really would love to have is access to materials or information the government may have on things that lie outside the solar system, because they should not be the privy of government officials. They have to do with humanity as a whole. Such information is obviously scientific, and we can help government figure it out. And if it exists, I would like to see it in the open. The fundamental question is what exists out there that is currently classified that we are not aware of. He says there is such information, but I haven't had access to it. So altogether, I'm very curious to find out what he knows about, because he did not reveal those details, and we do not have the full amendment that was added to the defense bill that was supposed to reveal some of this information through a committee assigned for the task. And instead, there is no board, and we are still at the mercy of agencies that may decide to keep it to themselves.
There's one key point there that was mentioned, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to play that clip, and that is there are so many people out there, I use the term people loosely, that are on X, on Twitter, and going, well, David Grush came out 6 months ago, we still haven't received a shred of evidence and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, fine, that could, we could say that's true. Yes, he hasn't shown us anything. But can we all just please remember that this poor guy is not allowed to say anything? And it's only that the government have deemed him necessary or worthy, perhaps, that he's been allowed to say what he's been allowed to say so far as it stands. But he can't tell us what he's been told or what he tells people in a skiff. He can't, because if he does, he'll spend the rest of his life behind bars, or at least he runs a risk of doing that. That's treason, and it's a really, really big deal. So for me, personally, I'm very thankful that we have David Grush, that he's done what he's done, and he's gone out of his way to do that, because without him, there wouldn't be all these people interested in the phenomena that we have right now, all these new people coming to the subject, and we wouldn't have this massive push for disclosure that is continuing now into 2024. And I think we're going to see some really big stories. I think there is going to be a massive shift towards public acceptance of the phenomena this year. It's not based on any facts. It's just based on a gut feeling. I always trust my gut. It's served me very well throughout my life so far, and it's not normally wrong. So take that what you will. But, I think it's very key that we remember that.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It feels like Avi is as close to this thing as you can get without being like read in. Poor guy's trying to get a foot in the door, and he's essentially begging them, like, would you please, for the sake of all that is holy on this planet, could you please, please, please give me access to this? I'm spending this money, I'm using these resources, I'm doing this, I'm putting in the work. If you guys have some of this stuff locked away, let's really work on this together. Stop hiding it, for Christ's sake. Like, just enough is enough already. This has been going on for such a long time. And it's just like what Grush was saying about nuclear weapons. We all, after the Manhattan Project, right? Like, we all know about nukes. We all know what they're capable of. We've seen them in action. We know they exist. But at the same time, you can't just go on the internet and 3D print one or download a schematic to construct one yourself. We can treat this subject at the beginning in the same way. It's really simple. And I get it. There are certain technologies that may, upend certain industries that exist on this planet, essentially overnight, maybe the oil industry and things of that nature. But guess fucking what? We need to do that at some point.
Yeah.
Or you need to get a bunch of brilliant individuals together, engineers, economists across the board, and figure out a way to transition the global economy to accept these types of technologies into our sphere of influence and start putting us on a path towards gradually integrating that technology into what we're using in society. Like, we have plans like this in place, for green and renewable energies and things of that sort. You could take those same blueprints and concepts and you could apply it to anti-gravitics. You could apply it to room temperature superconductors and things of that nature. Like, we should have already been doing this. This planet could have benefited tremendously from these technologies a long time ago. But guess what stopped that from happening? Fear. Yeah. Ultimately, it was fear.
Fear and money,
War and such, and money, exactly. Fear and greed and power. Yeah, it's like, if we didn't really have war on this planet on a mass scale, like we've seen World War II and the threat of the Cold War, I don't think we would be in the same situation, because we wouldn't be so afraid for the technology to fall into the wrong hands. And that is a reasonable fear. Don't get me wrong.
It's not just that. I mean, the war machine is there for a reason. It's there to generate income and keep money moving from one continent to another continent. It's evil and it's horrible and it shouldn't exist, and it does. So the military-industrial complex, if they have their say in it, are never going to allow something like this to come out. And that's what we're fighting here. It's not even the president or the politicians. It's who controls them. This is the problem. This military-industrial complex. There's a lot of these complexes around the world that dictate different parts of our life, whether it be the pharmaceutical industrial complex, the power industrial complex, the military industrial complex. It's these people that influence our world that we live in, that pull the strings, that really control everything. And it's those people that we're fighting. And that there are good politicians out there. There are. But a lot of them are puppets. They're being controlled. Tim Burchett, he's one of the good guys in my eyes. And Tom, I know that you feel the same. He's fighting the good fight, and he's fighting the unpopular fights. A lot of people don't want to be fighting the UFO or UAP topic because they're afraid of how it will make them look. They're afraid of re-election. The fear of re-election is what stops politicians from doing the right thing in the first place.
Oh, it's outrageous.
Tim Burchett doesn't do that. He's fighting to get the list out of all the celebrities who went to that bloody stupid island, and he's fighting to do that. And he's out there saying, well, I'm going to do this, but the reason why it's coming out so slowly is because a lot of my colleagues are going to get into an awful lot of trouble. He's not making himself popular, but he is fighting the right fight. So we need more politicians like that. The trouble is that the Tim Burchetts of this world will never make it to the White House, but they will do more good in the process than any president ever did that sat there, because the people who sit in that chair are tools. And I mean that in every sense of the word. They are a complete tool, and they're used as a tool.
And don't allow this to get political either. Listen,
But it's not political. I'm not saying that because
and I'm not. No, I'm not
left
saying you
or
are
right.
either.
It's not.
I
Political.
want people to hear me out when I say this. Because I'm fully aware of the politics in this country. Trust me, I used to be way more involved in it, but then I stepped back because I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to live my life as morally sound as I can, and just try to be a good person, and that's all I can do. I just need to do my part, right? So, Tim Burchett is a Republican, right? Who cares? The way the guy is approaching this particular subject aligns with me. It resonates with me. Just like if it was a I don't care what the political alignment is here. I don't care if it's a Democrat, Republican. I don't care. I don't care. I'm focused on this topic. Am I a huge Matt Gaetz fan? No, not. But guess what? I appreciate the way that he has handled this particular subject. There are other individuals as well that, again, to see, people from both sides of the aisle come together on this issue was a really, really nice breath of fresh air. It's very mature, and it's the way that government should operate anyways. Because at the end of the day, we should not look at the United States specifically as, this stupid right-left paradigm where it's like, well, I agree with that person's point, but because they're from that party, I got to keep that quiet. No, we're all Americans. Don't forget. And Digby, I know this isn't quite as relevant to you, being that you were in the UK, but you'll understand this, and I'm sure you're aware of this. But like after 9/11, this country was united. We didn't care about right and left. We cared about protecting our families, our freedoms, and our homeland. That's what we cared about. Not everybody was a huge fan of George Bush, but we did our best to rally behind the administration that we had at the time. And we did our best to support our troops abroad that were again, do I agree with the Middle East invasion, Iraq, any of it? Fuck no. No, I do not. But guess what? I also, at the same time, in the same breath, appreciate the fact that there were people that were willing to put their life on the line to protect my way of life. That means a lot to me. They're just taking orders. But back to the UAP thing, you need to focus on the actions and the words of the individual. If it says so-and-so, and then you see the little bracket and it says R, and you're a Democrat, just ignore the R.
Yeah.
You don't agree on everything, right? Like different policies and such. I'm sure there's things on Tim Burchett's voting record that I probably would have voted against, perhaps. But at the end of the day, do I think he's like a terrible person because he's a Republican? No. Do I think anybody's a terrible person because they're a Democrat? No.
No.
I don't.
No, you're right.
There's just different ways of looking at how to try to make the world work. But if I sat in a room with these people and just said, listen, I'm just an American, and I just want to have a conversation about what I think works best, that's all that should matters at the end of the day, not some stupid party affiliation.
Unfortunately, though, mate,
we got to keep the subject we got to keep it from becoming political, is what I'm saying.
That's how divide and conquer works. They have to have the left and they have to have the right, and the left and the right have to not like each other, so that the straight down the middle, that's where they have the power. That's how divide and conquer works.
Such a waste of time.
Yeah, and a lot of it is, and we are stuck into this way of life by the design of others, and it's not fair. But that's a chat for probably a different show than this show, because I could ramble on about that, my theories about that until the cows come home. But you're not here to sit and talk to the rest of my conspiracy theories. We'll just stick to this one.
I think it's time for some fun. Hey, Digby, we have a couple of really cool pieces of UFO footage.
Shall I press the button?
Press that button.
UAP Spotlight.
Button pressing is probably the biggest responsibility I think I have on the show to date.
I've done it. I know what it feels like to have that.
Well,
power.
I mean, come on, it's my thing. To push
it is your thing, though. It's your thing, and it's my thing to tell you to do it, right? I'd be like,
my God.
Digby, you know what time it is. You know what time it is. So
It wakes me up. It's the most exciting part of the show for me. It's good. It's good. It's good.
I think I'll just go in order. So the first clip we have here, full disclosure, I believe I pulled all of these from Reddit. So this first one's very recent, has not been debunked, and it's sitting at almost like 7,000 upvotes on Reddit/UFOs, which should tell you something if you're familiar with that community, because they will not stand for bullshit. And if you post CGI, good luck getting a single upvote. This was taken by an individual who was filming a close-up of the moon with a telescope, I believe, and just so happened to catch something very interesting. Now, side note, I don't have it readily available at the moment, but maybe I'll do a future video with some footage and add it as well. This is not the only piece of footage of this. There were multiple people that caught this. And I don't believe there's any audio. But as you can see, he is close up on the moon here. And there is this red object that's hanging out over the lunar surface. And now, again, I don't know the nature of the object, but to my eye, it appears that it's triangular. And it's interesting. You see that little red blur there that's coming in on the bottom right side of the object? I believe that is, like, again, like a lens flare or aberration that's coming through the lens. So whatever this is may potentially be giving off its own light.
So this is an interesting one, actually, because I've actually seen a still of this from a different source. So yeah, I would say that there is something to this. So the still I've seen is from another amateur astronomer, and they've seen the light on the moon. It's definitely not taken from this video footage, because where you can see on this, it looks like it's above it. This one looks like it's moved slightly, and it's looking at it face on. So that there is something to it, I think. I don't know what that is, but it's certainly intriguing for sure.
Yeah, it's really cool when people capture things like this, especially out in space, because then it's hard for you to sit there and be like, well, you know, it's a seagull, or you know what I mean? Because it's not in our atmosphere.
It shouldn't be there. Whatever it is, it shouldn't be there.
You are absolutely right. And do I think it's possible that this could be some sort of clandestine human operation in space? Absolutely. Absolutely. Richard Dolan has spoken about things like this, you know, secret space program and whatnot. That wouldn't surprise me either. Now, the next clip has been around for a bit, but hasn't been debunked. And there's not much to it, but it's still really interesting. This was taken in Colombia. Shout out to AFO on YouTube. This is their clip. You will see their watermark in the corner here. So I just want to give credit where credit's due. April 7th, 2023. We have this object that's descending on the tree line. They're going to zoom in on it as well. But now they've stabilized it and zoomed in on the object. Obviously, the shape of the craft, we'll call it saucer-ish, saucer-like.
Footage of.
And what's interesting too is that when you get to here, I'll mute the volume on it. But when you get, I'm gonna move it over. When it gets
that bit there bugs me.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, go back. So it's above the tree line, right? Now watch as it goes down. It now looks like it's behind the tree line and disappeared, and then it comes out in the front again.
So if you look really, really close there, Digby, so there's a tree line behind
or is that
it.
Just the way that the light is changing?
Yeah, it's the way the light's hitting it. Oh yeah, that's what I was about to say, is that it's coming down out of the shadow, I would assume. Or, you know, it's starting to hit more light. Yeah, so we'll go back here. Right, so it's like it's coming down.
So watch this bit hit now. And then, I don't know, where the light catches it from a different point of view.
Instead of my statement, the jungle's a freaking weird place. Yeah, I bet it is. Again, so from what I understand, there's been a few people that have really looked at this pretty comprehensively, and they can't find any evidence of CGI or anything of that sort. And plus the color change and stuff, obviously, I believe is due to lighting.
Yep.
But it's technology that we don't understand. It could also potentially be doing something that we don't understand that would cause that effect visually as well. Yeah, the next one out of all of these is actually my favorite. I believe this was a family on vacation. I'm not 100% sure the location. I'm actually doing a little bit of background research on it to get a little bit more info on it. This is just a random, like, home movie somebody was taking. This was back in, I believe, I wanna say this was taken in the '60s or the '70s. And they captured something really interesting by mistake. Ooh. Look at that.
Yeah, it definitely looks like more 80s, 90s. But yeah, it's
What's really interesting about this
something.
object is that the shape is so damn similar to the Utah footage that I have up on my channel, which I think is possibly the greatest piece of UFO footage ever taken. It's this weird, like, matte gray, sort of rounded, pressed in on the corners type of object. But this is what's really interesting about this is that these people had no skin in the game. They weren't trying to get rich or anything. It was something that was found later on that they never noticed.
Can you just go back to the
Yeah,
bit where
yeah,
it
please.
repeats over and over again? Dun, 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 dun. See, what I find very interesting about this clip is now if we just focus on the man here, and in your peripheral vision, focus on the UFO in the top.
Okay.
Now, watch. For every one movement he makes in this repeat, the UFO makes two.
Indicating how much faster it's moving.
Yeah, or indicating a different frame rate. Because he would still be moving, he would have still moved. There's an extra frame rate there compared to the gentleman below.
But now here's the thing. If this object is moving at an immense rate of speed, that is what you would see.
He would still be moved. There's a judder from his one point to his next point, which indicates a certain.
This is someone
frame rate.
also messing with so the person that recorded this clip, they're also messing with the time bar, because you can see him going back and forth a little bit. Like, this is like a screen record. See that judder? Like, they did that on purpose. That was like
No, I get that, but all that's doing is highlighting to me the frame rate. So it says to me that there is an extra frame in the movement of the UFO above him.
I think it's because of the speed that it's moving at.
I'm not sure.
And again, this is another one that's been looked at for a while. No debunk, which is really interesting. Now, the last piece of footage we have here comes from your original neck of the woods. This was taken by a police helicopter in South Wales in the United Kingdom. They actually posted it to the police department, I believe, posted it to social media, trying to figure out what the hell it was, and it is still unanswered currently. And this is not the first time I've seen an object that looks like this with the rounded portion in the middle there.
So is this looking,
like
do we know where this is looking? Is this looking from above down or from a side view?
You see that white line there? I believe that white line would be your horizon.
Yeah.
So we're kind of on an angle, and now we're like straight on. That behind it is cloud cover, I believe. And it's just, just hanging out, floating around up there.
It's the elusive space nipple.
It's the most rounded seagull I've ever seen. And then he zooms in on it, and there's this weird, like, aberration that occurs there. Paul says, "I stand on my statement."
What's that?
What's that? Yeah. Yeah, an interesting one. Right now, at the very end there, I'm trying to catch it. can see like the bottom of this looks like the leg of the chopper.
Yeah.
But when they zoomed in on it at one point,
space nipple. See?
There was like a weird effect. Yeah, you know what? We could call it that at this point. I think that's a fair
I would
name.
like that to start trending if we could get this video around X and hashtag space nipple.
I like
because
space
you know,
nipple a lot.
as somebody else has
Sky nipple even.
you know, space nipple. Come on, we've had
It's in
Go
atmosphere.
Fast and Gimbal.
Sky
Let me
nipple.
have my moment. Space nipple.
You can have the nipple, but I just
I want space nipple. Give me space nipple.
Popularly known as space nipple, although some individuals like to call it the sky nipple, such as Tom Thompson.
But it's from
researcher
space.
New Jersey.
Thank you, Handy Sandy.
But what kind of space?
This is what happens when I do not drink when I'm doing the show. Sandy says hashtag space nipple. Thank you.
You're like Bender from Futurama. You're like drunk when you don't drink.
Well, this is true.
Like it's like if you don't get your oil, you're just like, and then you get a glass of wine in you, and you're just like, okay, everything's
hello. Yes.
Have you
It's
guys
not
seen
enough
the
wine and
Black
too
Orb
much
video
Moroccan
from
tea.
last month? So hey, Bobby, there was a Black Orb clip that was going around that was really high quality footage. That there was one that I know got debunked, and it was a balloon.
Yeah, that one was. It's a 40th birthday balloon. You can see it when you.
Okay, so yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. Unless this is
that's the
something
Black Orb.
different.
No,
which,
it's the same one.
Bobby, if it's something different,
it looked
feel
lovely
free.
when you first see it, and then the more you look into it, unfortunately, it was a 40th birthday balloon
Mother Earth implies
with the
Earth. Boobies.
parallax
Oh my God.
effect in play. Unfortunately,
Right.
But this is tricky as well because you know, and it goes with what we started the show with this evening, talking about Miami. We see things like this. Us in the community get caught off guard, get really excited about it, going, "Oh, this could be something." And you know, I think a lot of us we need to slow down here. We're all really hyped up. We're excited. We know something great is going to happen this year, and by God damn it, it will. But it's not aliens in a Miami shopping mall, and it's not 40th birthday balloons, unfortunately. I think we all just need to sometimes slow down, take a breath, look at the evidence, and do a bit of research before we start retweeting stuff. You know, I even retweeted the Miami thing because I did it because I wanted to find out more information. You go out there, find more information, that's fine. But
That's how that works, right?
you know, that's what we do. We investigate and we get the answers.
Hey, Digby, for Sandy's sake. Hey, what's up, G? I see you in the chat. Hello, darling. Could you post the locals link?
Yes, I can.
And for
So
anybody
I
else
did
that
do it
wants
anyway.
to join on locals, and wants to you know, be a part of that little community that we're building there, that would be fantastic. Digby, why don't you fill everybody in on what that actually entails?
So, I'm pressing all the wrong buttons all over the place. So, yeah, locals is so we've joined locals. We're just getting it started at the moment. So, if you have already joined up, I'm posting on there a little bit at the moment just to keep it alive. Tom is going to be posting on there as well, but we're going to move a lot of our posts onto locals, and the reason why is because locals gives us the opportunity to have basically our own social media platform. So we can keep it on subject. It's a safe place for you guys to talk to each other, to put posts up similar as you would do on X or Facebook or Instagram. You can post pictures on there. You can post videos on there. You can, once you've put a post up, you can start a live chat with anybody, text chat with anybody that's online that wants to talk about your post. Tom and I can put up extra content from the show. We can do extra live segments with our guests after the show and do live Q&As. So it's a really great space if enough people come on board with us and head over there. There is on our X page, there is a link to a month free trial. So if you go over and find UAPod 23 on X, you don't have to look that far back, and there is a link to locals on there as well. That link will give you a whole month for free. After that, it's $5 a month, which is the same price as your Mocha Waka Frappuccino, and that goes a long way to helping Tom and myself keep the channel up to date, dedicate more time to it, make sure that, you know, we're giving you the best show possible, and that Tom and I have the ability to spend the time on it that we want to. But, you know, for that, we're also providing you with extra content. I will stress, Nothing is changing with the show. We are not moving to a subscription service. We are not doing that.
Yeah,
Our show
no,
will
not
stay
paywall. We just want to
exactly the
create
same.
extra content for people that
Extra.
support the channel. That's it. You know what I mean? And I think that's the best way to go about it. Is there
And for you guys to
Andy's
talk to
saying,
each
is there
other.
an app? Is there an app for locals?
Yes, there is. Yeah, you can.
I haven't
Absolutely.
dug into locals super
So you
deep
should,
on my
because
end yet, but I need
it's
to.
great. And Tom, that's a really sad admission to make. There we go. There's my locals app.
There it is, right there.
You can't see the rumble because it's green. So locals app.
Yeah, the invisible rumble.
Get the app, and then once you've got the app, if I was clever, I would actually screen share this from my phone, which I can do with my new Mac now. And then
Very
here
nice.
you will see our page and all our posts that we put up there. But you can, that were all from me. Tom, get on board, and then you can leave a little comment on there. But you guys can put up posts as well, so it's not just us feeding you with stuff. You can put your own posts up there. You can put your own sightings, your own videos, your own pictures. It's a safe space without the drama, without the hate group, without the bickering that is just becoming such a toxic influence on X at the moment that I find it really upsetting. I see people that I know and I communicate on there with on a regular basis being harassed, and it's just, we do not need this, and our community has the potential of being a wonderful force for good. And I dare say that if everybody that watched this show had a decent line of communication with each other, a respectful line of communication, we could get an awful lot done, within this community. And that's why Tom and I are here, because we love the show and because we want action and we want to see things change and we want to bring change about. But that doesn't go around very well when you're on Twitter or X and people are just slagging each other off and saying all kinds of horrible things. So join us on Locals for extra content from the show and for an opportunity for you guys to communicate with each other, same way you do on X, just in hopefully a nicer.
They also get very soon, probably within the week, the revamp on my Discord will be done. I've already had a couple people join preliminarily, but that's going to be another place where you guys can go and communicate. But it's not only just that. There's already, from the past couple of years, a repository of things that I've posted and shared. I have a massive library of databases and links. So like websites that have cases, research papers, it's well into the several thousands as far as what you can click on. Things that I found interesting, so you could literally go back.
Sorry, I just have to interrupt you.
Oh, go ahead.
Paul, it's like OnlyFans for Tom and Digby without the compromising photos.
I've got no shame in my game, sir.
Tom, I love you. Well, I did visit that nudist beach. If everybody subscribes,
that's true.
Just put one of those up. No.
Show us the video clip of when you went there. How about a bonus piece of footage?
Where's that from?
I don't know.
It looks exactly the same as that Miami one from a different angle.
Right. It's very similar. It's short and to the point. But I'm kind of teasing you guys. I actually have a way better piece of footage. How about this? This is near, I believe, a volcano.
André, no te estoy huyendo. Mira un ovni, cacha. Al lado. Está bueno una estrella y no tiene por qué estar ahí.
And it comes to a stop.
Yeah, I've seen this one.
You have seen this footage before. Now, what's interesting, though, I will tell you, is that there was somebody, I forget their name, that went and did a little bit of background digging on this and was able to determine that there should have been no research drones in the area at the time.
Oh, nice.
So whatever this was not something that anybody was flying up there to view the volcano with from any scientific expedition team of any sort. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Tom, I've got a question to ask you. You had homework to do at the beginning of the show. Have you had a chance to do it yet? Or do I need to fill for you so you can do it now and I will talk about what's happening on the show next week?
Oh, hey. No, I can totally do that.
Right. Tom's going to do this right now.
Well, I've already... That's already set up physically. All right, you guys are going to like this, especially you folks from X/Twitter.
Right. So I'm going to explain.
Familiar. Yeah, go ahead.
You do your homework now. Don't let anybody see. So what? Tom
No, that's already done.
Oh, you've done it. Okay.
It's already done.
So I don't know anything about this. Okay, right. So let me explain properly. In Tom's hand is an envelope. If any of you follow The Astral on Twitter, and if you don't, why don't you? So please go and do it. Astral hosts a remote viewing space every single week. And we are going to be doing a remote viewing space ourselves this time next week with Astral. He's coming on the show. So we're doing a remote viewing special. Now, in that envelope that Tom is now going to hold up, is a drawing or a picture or something that he has put in there. The task, your homework for the week, is to settle your mind and to focus on that envelope and see if you can figure out what is in it. Now, Astral's going to come on the show with us live next week, so please make sure that you join us live so that you can be part of it. We're going to find a way of getting people to do call-in, so we're going to have a phone-in section, or we're going to have people that will send the link out to, and I'll ask for a volunteer, for somebody to help us manage it. Maybe Paul, if you're around next week, then you can manage the allowing of guests in. So we're going to go through it all live next week with Astral. You guys can phone in or video call into the show. You'll be live on the show. You can show the drawings that you've come up with based on what you think is in that envelope. Tom, please show it to us one more time.
I'm also going to post an image of the envelope so you guys can focus on the target. I'll post it on X, and I will also post it in my community feed on YouTube so you guys have it. Now, also, side note, this is just, it was just something I thought of. But this envelope, it says top secret. This is the envelope that the first edition of Estimate of the Situation came in. He was kind enough to send that to me. I have this and the second volume, and I thought, what better envelope to use than that one? So I have the comic. I have I have it off to the side, but I took it out of that envelope and I put in the target in that envelope. So shout out to Estimate of the Situation. I absolutely love his work. His artwork is absolutely phenomenal, and he was just so gracious enough to send that out to me. So I figured, hey, that'd be kind of a cool thing to use for this. So it kind of links a couple different people, right? We love Astral, we love Estimate, and this is just something fun that we could do. Happy birthday also to Astral, because today is his birthday.
Yes, it is his birthday.
He was gonna pop on at the end here for the promo, but because it's his birthday, he's out doing things with his family.
Let him off.
Totally understandable. We'll let him off the hook, but we'll scold him about it later in the week.
Let's just double check, make sure that everybody knows, and also because then I can clip this part of the show and use it. So
yeah, well, I think
I'll
clip this and put it in the post with the target. I think that'll probably be a good idea.
So I'll do it professionally right now. Look, I'll do it right. I'm going to put myself on solo layout here. Look. So just to recap, joining us live on the show next week is Astral. If you don't know who Astral is, you need to wake up and follow him on Twitter because he's a fantastic guy. He does a remote viewing space every week on X, and next week he is doing a remote viewing space for us live on the show. So make sure you join us from 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 6:30 p.m. UK time, or if you're in Morocco like me, it's 7:30. So join us live on the show next week, where Tom and I will be joined by Astral. Tom, I will put you on screen here now, and you can show everybody the envelope. This is the envelope
for everybody
that everybody needs to focus on. Focus your mind. Rewatch this part of the show. This is the envelope. There is a drawing. There is a picture. There is something in this envelope that you need to focus your mind on. You've got till next week. We are opening it up so people can join us on the show live via video link, show the pictures that they've got, and at the end of the show, we will reveal what Tom has in his top secret envelope. I'm pumped for this episode.
Which streaming platform should we use? Well, we're gonna. We'll probably stream the episode to like what we did today.
Well, I think probably we'll definitely. Our Rumble link didn't work today, by the way, Tom. So you can see there, I switched it for X at the last minute. So we were on Tom's YouTube channel, which is Cortex Zero YouTube channel. If you're
wonder
not
if they're having
there,
technical difficulties.
do give them a follow. Otherwise, we will be live on our YouTube channel and on Rumble. But we might do X as well. Look, we'll put a post out in the week with all the details. The key point right now is the time is going to be 1:30 Eastern time next Sunday. You've been given the target. Tom will take a lovely photo of that target and he will post it on our X page as well. Focus on that. If you want to be part of the show next week, this is your opportunity to get involved. We don't mind how many people come on. Send us a direct message on X onto our inbox there, and then Tom and I can both see that. If not, our email address is uapodcast23@gmail.com. Get in contact with us and we will arrange for you to come on the show next week. Show us your drawing and talk about your experience, and then at the end of the show we'll show you what the target is. From what I understand, these remote viewing spaces have had some amazing results. In fact, Tom, you've done pretty well with this yourself in the past.
I have actually. Yeah, that is actually true. And my buddy Zio had 2 weeks where he absolutely nailed it, and I witnessed this happen in real time. And you said the email that we're gonna want them to send to if need be is uapodcast@gmail.com, right? That's the one you want to use?
Yeah. Yep, uapodcast23@gmail.com. If not, just
23,
look us up on X and send it to the
UAPodcast.
inbox message there.
@gmail.com.
UAPodcast23. There you go. We would love for as many people to get involved in the show. We have some amazing people that watch this show every week, and we love you dearly. And this is your opportunity to be part of the show with us. So please do get involved. I am really, really looking forward to the format of the show next week. It's going to be some great fun. And Tom and I really look forward to seeing as many of you as possible live on the show with your little doodles.
I'm excited for this one because we have a lot of fun in these RV spaces. You know, Astral and I have been doing those. It's his thing, to be fair. I'm not trying to take any of his thunder here. It's just something that I co-host with him that he's been gracious enough to have me be a part of for about a year now. And it's been a lot of fun. It's helped me make connections with a lot of new people. I've become friends with so many people through the RV spaces. And there's a lot of really awesome people in our chat that I met in those spaces. So I'm always going to have like a soft place in my heart for Astral's RV spaces. And Digby, you, sir, have one last button to hit, I believe.
Oh, are we doing it?
Oh, yeah!
Speculation Station.
Oh,
right.
Yeah. God, well, should it be me or should it be you?
Well, you just put me in the spotlight, so it should be you.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Okay. All right. If you go flip through a Bible, there is a portion in the Bible that talks about fallen angels. And it says that fallen angels have essentially been disconnected from God's love. They are without God's love, and they are jealous of humanity receiving the love of God. If you take that phrase and you replace God's love with source or consciousness or any of things, any of the phrases that you could use to fill in there, it then becomes the fallen angels are jealous of man's connection to source, connection to the consciousness field. When the Bible is talking about these fallen angels, are they talking about the Greys?
I like it. I like it. Yeah, I think that's great. I think that is fantastic.
This was a good episode, man. I got to be honest. Like the middle portion there, where you and I were just kind of having a back and forth about souls and such like that. I feel like that is a spot that we should absolutely clip for sure. That was a really cool.
I love these conversations with you every week. This is why I do the show. And when we have a guest on, it's just a bit of a Brucey bonus for me. So we are really looking forward to having Astral on next week. And then I believe in the next few weeks, we've got Sean Cahill coming on with Holly. I'm just waiting for Holly to confirm the dates or the times with Sean. So as soon as I get that, we will be posting when Sean's coming on. We've also got our new sponsor lined up, which is Nanu. So they will be sponsoring us as well. So more information for Nanu will be coming to you guys all very shortly. If you don't follow Nanu on Twitter, please make sure you do. Because they are in the final stages of putting the finishing touches onto their wonderful app, which is going to give all of us the ability to share what we see in a very wonderful, safe and secure way. And I think it's going to be a fantastic app. In fact, Tom and I are getting a little advanced preview of it, I believe, soon. So that's going to be very, very exciting. So if you don't already, look up Project Nanu on X and Facebook and wherever you get your social media sources, and give them a follow for us, please. But for now, from me and from Tom, have a wonderful day, and we look forward to seeing you all next week.
Keep an eye out for the new video on my channel. It's coming soon. Make sure you guys follow Digby and myself on X. And from the bottom of my heart, we're starting the new year. Digby, I love you, man. Thank you for doing the show with me today.
Love you too. And it's been a cracking one. It was cracking. Episode 16. First one.
It was a good one, man.
Straight out of the gate, and it was great.
It was really good. It was good. You guys in the chat, take care. Be safe out there. We love you, and we will also see you next week.
See you next week, guys.